Everybody. How are you doing today? So I had this question sent to me, which was, or basically a remark. Somebody's telling me, you're only thinking about money. Yes, you're only thinking about money. And it made me actually smile, right? Because back in the day, I would have been quite mad to hear about that. But nowadays, it's different. So, and because I had this remark, and I thought thinking, okay, maybe many of you are actually thinking about the same thing. Maybe you're thinking that, okay, Tony's only talking about money these days. So what is he about that? And that's what I like us to discuss. I like us to have this conversation in this second episode of Renewables and Money. And before we actually dive more into the conversation, let me, as I usually would do, you're accustomed to that, reintroduce myself. I'm Tony T. I'm the founder here of Renewables in Africa. And our channel is all about demystifying the renewable energy sector for you. From wherever angle you're coming from, whether you are a developer, you are an investor, you say that you want to invest into renewables energy, but you don't have the right information, we give you the information that you need. Or whether you are a business saying that you want to decarbonize, you want to green your operation, but you don't know where to go, we also give you the information that you need. Or maybe you're a professional, you want to get into the sector, you will find in here all that you need, right? And that's what we're going to be talking about. So, what am I asking you in return? Only three things, only those three things. Number one, first of all, I'd like to thank you for just following us because, like I say, every day I can see the uh, the uh, the comment that you are making, the support that I'm getting, and really it sort of reassured me that yes, we definitely need to be talking about these different topics. So I really appreciate that. So I would like to say to you, please make sure that you actually subscribe to our channels and to all our channels. So if there is one you're not connected yet, so just let me know. I can send you the link if you need to. But I need to subscribe, right? Because we're actually broadcasting from five channels today, right? So we have LinkedIn, so we have YouTube, so we have Twitter, we have Telegram, and we have Facebook. So all of that to make sure that we actually addressing you in all the platform that you like, right? So you can any excuse now to tell me I don't know where to connect because you have all those platforms that are there for you. So the second thing that I usually ask you to do is to leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us whether you like it, whether you do not like it, and then share your opinion with us. We love it. And the third thing, obviously, share, especially if you happen to watch me right now. My please request to you is share that so that as many people as possible can watch it. People can ask questions right now as I'm talking to you, or maybe later, right? And this slot, I just want to keep it to definitely 30 minutes, no more than that, right? So, and that's what I like you to do. So please share, right? That's important. And then, and if you happen to watch this afterward, no problem. So, just to recap, why did I create this space called Renewables and Money? So I simply want to talk about the business of running a renewable energy business. It's very much needed, right? Let me just come back to the story I was telling you about. In fact, just to give you a little bit more understanding, so this was a gentleman to reach out to me because he actually obviously came up with quite interesting innovation, and he talked to me about that because he could see that yes, okay, Tony, you seem to be quite involved into renewables energy, and then in emerging market, I have this innovation, I have this system that I have been developing for donkey years, right, for many years, and now I like to find out how I can deploy it. Especially in this case, he was saying, I believe that would be very good in uh in Africa. The gentleman obviously did not properly speak English. That's not a problem. Obviously, it's not a problem because we can always find a way to communicate. But he actually managed to find himself a partner in Southern Africa. I'm not going to give him of the country because, like I said, I want to preserve his identity. So basically, he looked at me and we had a conversation, and essentially made him understand that okay, for us to get involved and to support him, that will require him to make some kind of investment, right? Because this day, and I also be open and honest with you, I'm not going to be working if I can't see how we're going to be compensated, right? So it's about business as well. Why helping other people? And that's where I had this remark. So obviously, they were not very happy to continue with me and with us renewables in Africa, because they say you're only thinking about money, you don't see the future. Okay, and it made me smile. And back in the days, I would have been quite disappointed and angry just to have this kind of reaction. Yeah, but today, these days, I'm very much happy. So, is it? Am I only talking about money? No problem. That's fine. I accept it. But that's why I wanted to discuss that with you. I want to get your opinion. Do you think that talking too much about money in the renewable space is a good thing or not? That's important to know, because we are actually in a relatively young industry. In fact, not so young anymore, right? Because companies are been out there now for a number of years. Some of them more than 5 years, 10 years. And don't just take it from me. Actually, look at what we have been doing. Because what I've done, it's with the company, my colleagues, we've actually been running these days a poll online, right? So, and as you can see, I know we don't have a huge sample at the moment, but that's just one thing that is going on at the moment on LinkedIn, if you've seen it. And that's the result. So basically, the first question we're asking people is, how old is your company, right? And you can see here more than 100 people actually voted. And in fact, it's more than that, because the time when we actually take this picture, I think people carry on voting, right? Because I think it's still running. So what we can see is there is a significant majority of companies out there that have been around for more than 12 years. And I suspect some even more than 10 years, right? So clearly, we could see that, yes, the industry is clearly maturing and becoming older, right? So that we know that. And the good thing is having fact like that, it's that it allowed us to be able to make some argument, yeah, to make some arguments based on some information that we see. So you can see a large majority of firm. Let me just show that again. 51% over 5 years, and 11% less than 6 months, and you have a good 34% 1 in 5 years. That's fine. Now, the question you want to ask yourself is, those companies that we see, in fact, so what kind of money are they making? And why am I talking about that? Simply because it's important to understand that for people, if we're talking about growing the sector, right? So it means that we need to create more company, we need to have successful company, and we need to attract people. And if we want to be attracting people, new talent into the sector, right? We need, and this guy, they'll be asking themselves a question. Okay, I love what you're all about. I love the vision. I clearly want to help. I want to support. But I also want to make sure, can I make a living out of it? Is there actually money there? So how much money companies in the renewable energy sector make? Yeah, you just want to have a guess, just to see whether or not they could see if they have a future or not, right? So that's what it's about. So let me ask you the question. If you can drop that in the comment, if you happen to be watching me just right now live, I'm hoping there are some watching me live. If you come later, no problem, play the game. So let me know. If I'm asking you the question, so what do you think? So how much do you think companies in the space are making, right? So are we talking about 100,000? Are we talking about more than 100,000, 200,000? Are we talking about over a million? So if I were to ask you, the majority of companies, how much do you think they're earning? Bear in mind, right? I showed you the poll before, right, where we were saying that 51% of companies are over 5 years. So the question we want to be asking ourselves, if they're over 5 years, so that means they've been able to sustain themselves up until that. That's great. Now, what kind of money are they making? Right? That's important to understand, just to see as well, where is the sector going? So the interesting thing is, we have another poll that we actually ran. Okay, and let me just share that with you here. So, and the question was also very simple. As you could see, that's a renewable energy company survey that we were running. And simple is, what is your turnover? So there's many things that we could see. I think this picture is quite evocative, right? And I just want to know. So, is this something that you guys can pick up from that? If yes, just drop that to me in the comment, and we can talk about that a little bit more. Because for me, it's very interesting to look at that, right? So, and clearly sending me a lot of messages. So, the first thing that we clearly could see, yeah, and let me just take it to you. This is where I could definitely see that we we are having a problem talking about money into the sector. Why am I saying that? So I'm saying this because if you look at that, I know the sample is still small, but it's already telling. So when you were asking the question, so how old is your company? You can see a lot more people, let's say a lot of people responded, right? Relatively quickly, and we're pleased about that, more than 100. And we could see that the number of them are over 5 years, right? Now, the second question that we asked a week later was, what is your turnover? And by the way, bear in mind, this is a purely anonymized poll survey, right? We're not asking for details, no, nothing. All we're asking those questions. You voted, and by the way, as a company as well, we voted. So you vote, and you send it, and it give us an idea, it give us a picture of where we stand. And when you were asking that, more than 100 people actually voted for the first question. The second question, as soon as you start talking about money, look at that, only 23. And in fact, okay, it's a little bit more. I think that's 25. Now that actually voted. Can you see that? It's less than a fifth of what people of how many people responded initially. It shows you already. As soon as you start switching, talking about the real thing, money, because you can't separate business and money, isn't it? Right? As soon as you start talking about that, you can see already it's dropped significantly. But okay, that's the first remark I want to tell you, and it shows you how much of an issue this question is. Right? People still don't like to talk enough about it, but we need to. Yep. But let's go past that. No, let's dive into the data. Again, what I'm saying here is I know that the sample is still very small, and then is it representative? I don't know at this stage. But let's say that for that small sample, let's imagine for a second that it could be representative, maybe a portion of the industry. Is the portion. What do we know? We know that before we had more than 50 people that were saying that they over 5 years, right? But in here, look at that. More than 40%, 42% said they earn less than 100K, right? And then we had 30% between 100 and 300K. So 22% 300K and a million, and 22% over a million, right? So the first thing that we could see is that definitely a good portion of those businesses that actually were over 5 years will only be making less than 100K a year, right? So that's one thing you want to pick up very, very quickly, right? It means that that's definitely not a lot of company, right? So because 100K, if I can imagine, let's imagine, because a lot of people that come into the sector, they initially want to replace their earnings, right? So if you can imagine, I'm just making that very simple because I know obviously the regions will be different. But let's imagine, especially if you want to jump into this business, and let's imagine the average salary or somebody will be earning will be like 20K, right? So that means if you look at those companies that make you 100K, so I can imagine at best they'll be employing one or two people, potentially three, but that's what you are you talking about, that 43%. So that means a lot. So that means the majority of companies still earning not a lot of money, because 100K it's not a lot when you're looking at the business, right? So you clearly want to be beyond that. So that means how can this company actually move from where they are to go to the 300K million and over a million? That's one thing that needs to be learned. So first of all, the first thing that we need to take from this quick straw poll. Number one, like I said, as soon as I start talking about money, already the participation drop, right? It means that people want to avoid the question, don't want to really participate. Then the second thing we can see that the majority are still less below 100K. So that means a good number of those companies that over 5 years will actually be there. That's one thing that we could see. But the good thing and interesting thing, it also means that, but their company, they're actually making quite well. Oh, by the way, this poll that I ran, so I also have to be quite clear. So this wasn't specific to a region. We just put it out there and people voted. So I imagine, obviously, this is more like a global poll. So that's why I say the sample may not be a lot, but I just want to use that to at least make some assumptions that hopefully will have the chance to verify as we're moving ahead. But I just want to, the idea for me was to quickly show to people what does it look like in terms of money for the industry, right? So what we could say as well is there is a number of companies. So we can, if you can say for that 44% that are earning over 300k, right? So if you're up at 300k, that means you start getting in a position that it is interesting. So what it also shows to people, especially for uh people that are not in the sector, or some investors, that means their company doing extremely well into the sector. Extremely, maybe extremely is a big word. Let's say their company's doing well into the sector. And these are company, I guess, if they have the right support, they may go even further, right? So that's one thing that it's important to pick up from that. So those two points, like I say, so I just wanted to show that quickly, yeah, just to give you an idea of where we are. So as you can see, as soon as you start talking about money, you're already losing some people interest. But the people that actually participate, the first one, I want to say thank you to them, as that's really appreciated. It allowed us to be able to make some arguments. It allowed us to be able to make those to have the discussion and having some facts that we can show, and then people can then use that to make up their own word. So now, if I come back to the question, I would say, okay, why is it important to talk about money, right? So that's the question that we actually ask people today. So for the simple reason that if you happen to be one of this business over 5 years and you're still making less than 100k, clearly, I'm sure your ambitions is to earn more money, to grow your revenue, and to be much more stable. So it means that you need to be then ask your question. So how can I make sure that I can move from 100k to 300k to the median and well beyond? Right? You can't. So that means if you're not focusing on looking at what kind of money are you making, what are the strategies that I need to look at to be able to make more money, right? So how can I make more sales? Then you're gonna be in trouble. And this is what I'm saying. And again, I'm saying that not because I know better than anybody else. No, definitely not. I'm simply saying that because these are the kind of kind of hard question I have had to ask to myself with my business, and to see how we can actually what we can actually do to move forward. Because the thing is, why do you need to talk about money? Well, put it simple, bro. You set up the business to deliver good product, good services, right? And why making as well some money and growing the business. So how would you do that if you don't make enough money? So how would you grow if you don't make enough money? How would you scale if you don't make enough money, right? And how can you make money if you don't even want to talk about money? And how would you make money if you don't know exactly what it takes to make money? Because businesses, whether you're talking about renewables energy, whether you talk about oil and gas, whether you talk about hydro, whatever, there's some principle that needs to be respected, right? And clearly, a business is not going to be running, not going to be going very far if you're not actually making that money that you need. So this is what I want to talk to you today about. I can see I have one reaction, and I'm very happy about that. I'm just going to be probably stop here at this stage and take a couple of questions, right? But just to summarize, yeah, for those of you. So why do you want to talk about money? Very simple for me, right? First of all, if you want to develop your business, if you want to have a profitable business, and like I said today, I want to speak a little bit more to businesses that are in the sector. So if you happen to be professional, you may find that useful. But let's say businesses that are the one I'm targeting the more. I think if you want to have a profitable business, a business that you're going to be running over a period of time, you want to talk about money. You want to seriously look about how much money you're making. Now, if you want to grow as a business, if you say, okay, I'm already profitable, I'm happy about that, but I see myself moving forward, I see myself actually growing, because actually, if you don't grow, you may actually regress because your environment is changing. So maybe the best way to protect yourself is to keep on growing. And how can you grow? And how would you grow if you don't make enough money? Because it's the money that you're making that's going to allow you to be able to grow. So how How are you going to grow if you're not making enough money? And the last thing, if you want to scale, so how would you scale if you're not making enough money? So these are the questions that you want to ask yourself. And for me, it's very clear because of those 3 points, you absolutely want to talk about money. And more than just talking about money, you want to understand what do we do to make to make this money. First of all, are you making sure that you have the right product? Product market fit. Do you have it? Excellent, great. I'm sure you have it because most of the time when people go in business, they have at least solved that part of the equation. The second thing, do people know or buy your product? Are you visible enough? Do you know whether customer can see who you are and recognize you from far? If not, let us know. Because actually, that is actually what we do. We work a lot with businesses to get them to understand you need to create a brand around yourself. You need to create a brand around yourself and awareness about yourself. Because if your customer don't know you, they won't come to you, right? So that's very much important. I'm just gonna stop here. I'm just gonna look at some questions, but that's the question I wanted to discuss today. So let's go and have some questions. Okay, so there is a Johnson Amudipe who say, "Can we have a recording from this webinar or participate?" Well, listen, Johnson. Yeah, you won't have a direct recording for me, but the good thing that you found out is because these are recorded sessions. It's live, but obviously it's on 5 platforms. As I say, it's on LinkedIn, so it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, Telegram, and then YouTube, right? So if you go on any of those channels, especially for example LinkedIn and YouTube, you will see that, right? So they are there, they're recorded, so you can watch it anytime in your own pace. That means even if you actually joining this late or you join it afterwards, you can watch the whole session. It's recorded, it is there at your disposal, right? So feel free to not only watch it, but to leave a comment, and not only leave a comment, but to share that with people. That's very important because don't be selfish. Don't just keep that for yourself. Grow that, right? It's important, yeah? So if you want to grow the sector, we need to teach people, not teach, I don't like the word teach. I say we need to share with people insight that they need for them to be able to get into business in the sector and grow it, or maybe get into the business as an employee and then make a career for themselves. It's all about, are you making the right money for you to be able to go forward, right? So you would get the recording there. So your second question is, do we have a participation certificate? So listen, we are not. This is a live video, so you won't have a participation certificate. However, if you want me or my company to send you a little note saying that you participate to this, I have no problem. That's fine. I don't mind doing it. Just drop me your detail there, and then I get somebody to send that to you. But you're gonna be pleased because actually very soon, probably in 3 to 4 weeks, so we're gonna have a special webinar where we're going to actually go a little bit more into detail into one of the notions that we're talking about here. And in that one, yes, we'll be able to give people a participation certificate if that could be of any help, right? So hopefully that's good for you. Oh, by the way, Johnson, I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you as well for contributing, leaving a comment. I like it. I like when we're able to engage, right? So if there's any more question like that, I'm happy to take it. So let me just look at the second question, which looks like it's you asked the question twice, Johnson. So either you were very eager to ask the questions, or you actually type it twice and you didn't know how to cancel the first one. So yeah. So, but hopefully I've responded to your question. So clearly, I invite more of you to leave a comment to let us know what. But for me, I'm more interested understanding. So, what is your relationship with money in relation to renewables energy? Right? Do you believe that there is enough money to be made in the sector? Are you already in the sector? Are you struggling to make money for your business? Share that with us so that we can actually discuss, right? And maybe if you want to come and actually talk about your own experience, so that will be useful for many people, right? Because that's the reason I've created this space so that we can talk about the business of running a renewable energy business. So the behind the scene, so people can see what it's like. people can see how it's like to actually set up a business or picking up a business, getting it to grow into the sector, and and making the money that you need, right? So that's why I created space for, and it's specifically about talk about the business of running a renewable energy business. And the good thing is, we're gonna be, as we go into the different sections, because this is only the second episode. So obviously the first one, the launch was actually last week. But like I say, as we're going forward, we're going to be looking at different notions where we can actually have a conversation. And I'm hoping that many of you would participate and tell us what they think. Yeah. So I don't know if there is any other questions. So if there's any other question, I'd be very happy to take it. So if not, we're probably going to be thinking about calling a day for today. Oh, by the way, I also know that we're doing it in kind of a little bit sad circumstances, because we lost an iconic personality in this world, which is Queen Elizabeth. So, that some people may still be affected. My condolences. But as I said, we all gonna go through that same journey. So, but until our time comes, we need to make sure that we do everything we can to make our life here the best one possible. So, is there any other question? If there is, that's fine. Otherwise, we're just going to be calling it a day. But that's what it's all about. So, as we're going forward, we're going to be bringing new topic for you to exploit. I'm hoping as well that you can contribute. As I say, I want you to subscribe. Subscribe right now. You haven't done it yet. Share if you haven't done it yet. But I also want you to leave me a comment to tell me what you want to talk about. Because this space, it's about talking about the business of running a renewable energy business. More specifically, understanding how we can make the business profitable, how we can make the business grow, how we can make the business scale up, right? And that's why for me, it's important. It was very important to talk about money and this one, right? Hopefully that responds to your question. If you agree, drop in a comment. If you don't agree, drop in a comment and let me know, obviously, what is your alternative. Yeah, in between. So it was great to be able to talk to you. So looking forward for our next session. But already on Sunday, we're also catching up because, like I say, I presented on Wednesday project that I reviewed. And on Sunday, I'm going to have a special edition where I'm bringing some engineers from the company is going to tell us more about this project. Hopefully you will like it. So that's what I had to say for today. So I'm very delighted that we're able to catch up. And you have a great day. And usually, like I say, may the sun be with you guys. Bye.